news that's short, sharp and shrewd.
Are you talking about the podcast or me?
Both.
Backhanded compliment.
This is Up Late with Ben Harvey. Nev Power's back in business.
He sure is. There was an air of inevitability about this one because if there's one thing corporate Perth does well, it's look after its own.
And you know what? This town loves a comeback.
Nev Power sits on 3 company boards. Disability services provider APM, which is run by serial deal maker and Vino Mofo subscriber Mike Angie. Oil and gas business Strike Energy, which is chaired by John Quigley chauffeur and Daiban handbag carrier John Poynton. And gold miner Genesis Minerals, which is run by mining Boy Scout Raleigh Finlayson. Mike, John and Raleigh had each been grappling with whether to keep Nev on as a director after he was found guilty of illegally flying his helicopter from Queensland to WA in breach of border protocols. As we know, he was mustering at his cattle station with his son Nick when he decided it was time to go home.
Get to the chopper!
Without applying for a G2G pass. Nev has already quit the boards of the Museum Foundation, the RFDS and Perth Airport, but they were easy decisions to make because they don't pay much, if anything at all. Strike, APM and Genesis do.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
APM and Strike have just come out and said they believe it's in the best interest of their shareholders that Nev stays on.
Is it?
Well, it's an interesting one. Nev is a gun businessman. His history at Fortescue helping that thing avoid bankruptcy during the great iron ore plunge of 2013-14 is a textbook example of solid financial stewardship. More importantly, he has wide experience with dealing with government. His political connections are particularly helpful for a company like Strike, which is always applying for permits and working through red tape, and even more so for APM, which exists because it is on the receiving end of a great many government contracts.
So it was the right call to keep him.
It's in the interest of shareholders to have an experienced executive on their company board. It is not in their interest to have someone on that board that could put the company in breach of the Corporations Act. That act states that someone like Nev can be automatically disqualified if they are convicted of an offence that involves dishonesty and is punishable by imprisonment for at least 3 months. APM and Strike have broken ranks, leaving poor old Raleigh as a last man standing and having to make a very lonely and very tough call.
What do you do? What do you do?
One of the things exercising Raleigh's mind will be this: what happens if he needs to sack a Genesis worker for being dishonest, or ignoring the company's very strict health and safety laws regarding vaccination and isolation?
This is a deli of a pickle.
Because if you do sack some drone from Sector 7G for a breach of company protocol, that person, or that person's union, is going to look at the company's treatment of Nev and do this.
Strike! Strike! Strike!
Or this.
I'll see you in court.
I guess Strike Energy's in the same situation because it's in resources as well.
Yep. Strike's also exposed to accusations of hypocrisy because it says it is absolutely committed to enforcing the highest standards of honesty, integrity and ethics. I know this because it's the first point in the company's code of conduct. Directors at Strike are beholden to act honestly and with high standards of personal integrity while maintaining a culture of high ethical standards and commitment to compliance. John and Nev may well have gone over Strike's company vision when they were travelling together on the private jet they co-owned. If that was the case, they probably would have had trouble reconciling Strike's governance aspirations with comments made about Nev by Magistrate Elizabeth Woods, who said he showed a significant lack of judgment by committing serious offences that were not technical breaches in their nature. APM is even more invested in high standards of integrity because the company makes its money from helping people with a very wide range of disabilities. APM's health and safety protocols regarding COVID are understandably watertight because disabled people are at far greater risk of getting seriously ill or dying from the virus, something its embattled director didn't give too much weight to when he flew into WA without quarantining and immediately going to the telethon ball, an event designed to raise money for sick kids and which is attended by many of their families. Like Strike, APM takes its code of conduct seriously. Point 2 of its board charter implores directors to ensure a culture of acting lawfully, ethically and responsibly, while Point 18 sets out APM's firm commitment to behaving honestly and fairly. One of the people on the APM board, I assume, was party to discussions about whether Nev should stay, is this man. It would have been a very uncomfortable conversation for Saint Ben Wyatt to have because as Mark McGowan's treasurer, he was an architect of the hard border policy for which Nev showed utter contempt. And now they sit next to each other.
Awkward.
So who will decide if there's a breach of the Corporations Act?
The Australian Securities and Investments Commission, an agency that's exceptionally good at pointing out failings in corporate governance after everyone has lost their money.
Next time, give me a goddamn heads up.
The ball's now in ASIC's court and being held by Chairman Joseph Longo.
What do you do?
If the Commission decides not to investigate, pressure may come on this bloke. Josh Frydenberg is the minister responsible for ASIC. It'll be quite the ethical pickle for him because he was part of the cabinet that thought Nev was such a stand-up, honest and dependable person, they made him chairman of the COVID Reconstruction Task Force.
I think Australia right now, more than anything, needs to focus on minimising and mitigating the impact of the coronavirus.
Will the ASX do anything?
Absolutely it will.
Tell them to bring me my money.
The ASX will continue to profit from the listing fees and other revenue it gets by allowing APM, Genesis and Strike to continue trading on its platform.
Why doesn't Nev just stand down? He can't earn that much from directors' fees.
It's not about the fees, it's about the options. These are three very good companies. The shares Nev has, or will have at some point, are going to be worth a lot of money.
Greed is right. Greed works.
I'm Ben Harvey. If you'd like to watch Up Late with me, Ben Harvey, search for The West Australian on YouTube.